Guys, in this video, we will continue our discussion on previous year questions. And here also, I'm going to take up a question from thinker Karl Marx. And this is related to dialectics. So I hope all of you know about Marx. I hope all of you know the theories, his idea about social change, his idea about society, his idea about evolution, and what is the reason for evolution, the dialectics and what is happening, and all those things, right? So let's start. Let me show you the question first. And as you can see here, here is the question. So yes, so you can see here, critically examine the dialectics involved in each mode of production as propounded by Marx. Okay, very simple question, straightforward question. And we know what is dialectical materialism and what do you mean by dialectics. And we discussed already how dialectics create social change. And we discuss the concept of dialectical materialism, we discuss the concept of dialectical idealism. So this is one of the most important 20 marker question that you can expect from Marx, and it can also be asked as 10 marker. Just that if 10 marker it is, then you just need to reduce the content. Otherwise, everything that you need to write in 20 mark and 10 mark may be almost the same, except some examples that you will be adding. And you will also have to talk about Engels, you'll have to talk about Hegel's, you also need to discuss about Feuerbach. So it actually combine a lot, right? It talk about historical materialism, it talk about dialectical materialism, it talk about his idea about society, it talk about his idea about social change, it talk about mode of production, it talk about revolution. So if you understood this question, or if you understood the concepts of Marx, almost 30-40% of Marx is going to be very easy, right? So let's try to understand what is the demand of the examiner here. Clearly, it is critically examined, right? So because of that, what all things you need to focus here? They are talking about dialectics. So you need to explain what is dialectics first and explain how dialectics operate in each mode of production. So, dialectics in ancient mode of production, in feudal mode of production, in capitalist mode of production, and how the dialectics, this tensions has overcame, right? Negation and negation of negation, right? The feudal mode of production is the negation of ancient mode of production, and capitalism is the negation of negation, right? All those I have discussed already, and show that transition between the stages. And then you add the criticisms where you can talk about, instead of dialectical materialism, you can bring in dialectical idealism and other criticisms as we discussed already, and also conclude with the contemporary relevance. So now how you can give the introduction here? Think about it for a moment and see what can be the introduction. You can say Marx argued that history is not a random process, right? History process through or progress through, or it's evolved through contradictions. Every society have contradictions, and the contradiction is what dialectics, what we mean by dialectics. So there are contradictions which are embedded within every social system, and these contradictions you overcome, and that is the evolution of society. So contradictions in ancient you overcome, feudal mode of production, contradictions there also overcome, capitalist mode of production, contradiction there also overcome, that is what socialism, like that, right? So the dialectics are present and you overcome that. The contradictions will be there in every society. It's like thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So contradictions are there, solutions will come, new society, new mode of production. So that's what Marx said. The history of all hitherto existing society is a history of class struggle. And from where Marx borrowed the concept of dialectics? From Hegel. And Hegel's concept is idealism. So there will be contradictions, ideas change. But Marx also borrowed from Feuerbach's concept of naturalism, and he made it as dialectical materialism. So Hegel's idealism, he changed it as materialism. So Hegel talk about ideas will solve the contradiction. So dialectics and idealism, dialectical idealism, Marx made it as dialectical materialism. Because for Marx, ideas are part of superstructure, and economic infrastructure shapes superstructure. So the material condition shapes the ideas. Yes, ideas are the reason for social change, but what shapes the ideas? It is the material condition. So it should not be dialectical idealism. Rather, these ideas are also shaped by the material condition. So it should be dialectical materialism. So Hegel's concept of dialectical idealism, Marx have taken it as dialectical materialism. Otherwise, the dialectics means contradictions are same, but instead of ideas, It is a changing material condition which lead to new ideas, which lead to social change for Marx. Because ideas are part of superstructure that is shaped by the material condition. Yes, ideas are the reason for change, but for ideas, the material condition is necessary. So for Marx, social change occurs because every mode of production contain some internal contradiction. Ancient will have that, feudal will have that, capitalism will have that. And that contradiction eventually leads to its transformation through revolution. That's when social change comes. So there are thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So negation of previous one is the next one, and again negation happens. So that is how society evolved. So negation of ancient was what? Feudal. So what is capitalism? Negation of negation. Again contradiction will come in feudal, right? So now what is dialectics? See, dialectics refer to change through contradiction. Simple. So society developed because there are opposing forces that exist within every social structure, and these contradictions that generate conflict, and that conflict that creates social transformation. Now, Marx's three laws of dialectics, very, very important. I've given it as a separate note also. So you need to mention as here Engels, and then you discuss this. First of all, unity and conflict of opposite, negation of negation, transformation of quantity into quality. These are the three laws. I repeat, unity and conflict of opposite, and then negation of negation, and transformation of quantity to quality. So first one, there will be contradictory forces that coexist, right? And they oppose each other, but at the same time, they are also dependent upon each other. That is what unity and conflict of opposites. Both are contradictory. Opposite forces are there, like rich and poor. Rich and poor both are important, both are required. There will be unity among them. At the same time, their interests are contradictory. Without rich, poor cannot survive. Without poor, rich cannot survive. But they are interdependent, but at the same time, interests are contradictory. Capitalist and worker. Capitalist interest is maximize profit. Worker, maximum wages. That both are contradictory. Master slave, right? Or lords and serfs. All these are contradictory and mutually supportive also. Unity and conflict of opposites. So what Marx argued is that every society contains such contradictions, and these contradictions become the source of social change. Now, the second law, that is negation of negation. Every new social system emerged by overcoming the contradictions of the previous one. So the sequence he have given already: primitive communism, then ancient mode of production, feudal mode of production, capitalism, socialism, communism. Contradictions that will lead to social change. So in slavery, in ancient mode of production, there are contradictions, right? There are conflicts. So the negation of that is what? Feudal. And then again contradictions, then that again overcome, right? So negation of negation is what? Capitalism. So negation of negation, right? So every mode of production, if you see, there will be contradiction that will be overcoming through material conditions like that. So all these modes of production you can explain. Each stage basically negates the previous stage. Each stage is basically solving the contradictions of previous stage, but which in turn will have further contradictions. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. That synthesis become the new thesis. Then again antithesis will come, new synthesis. That new synthesis become the thesis again, and then antithesis will come, synthesis. So that is how one society, and then contradiction will come as antithesis, and then solution is what? Synthesis. That again contradictions will come as antithesis, and then synthesis, like this. So negation of previous one, and then negation of the previous one, like this. Negation of negation, like this it will go. Now the third one, transformation of quantity into quality. See, during over a period of time, there will be quantitative changes, like changes in forces of production, like that, and sudden qualitative changes there, change of mode of production. So change in the mode of production, that is changes in tools and techniques and all, these are gradual changes, and these gradual changes accumulate, and eventually a revolutionary qualitative change will come. So quantitative change and qualitative change. Quantitative change is change within the system. Within feudal system, there will be some developments, tools, techniques, etc. That is quantitative, gradual change. Qualitative means feudal mode of production through revolution, a full mode of production, change of mode of production, change in mode of production, quantitative change of mode of production, qualitative change. That happens through revolution, right? So what are the qualitative change? ancient to feudal, feudal to capitalism, capitalism to socialism. These are qualitative changes. Changes in forces of production, which is happening within the mode of production, quantitative change, right? Whether it is increasing exploitation or increasing class conflict, increasing concentration of capital, all these are gradual change. Eventually, it will create revolution that lead to qualitative change. Now, what are the dialectics in each mode of production? This is the core of the answer. See, primitive communism thesis is early society, which is characterized by the collective ownership, absence of classes, shared resources, and everything. Now, what are the contradictions? There will be development of surplus production, private property, unequal control of resources, and that create tension. So, what is the result? Then, the primitive equality that gradually disappear, and this contradiction produce the slave society. For example, agricultural development allow the accumulation of surplus and ownership. All these I have discussed in detail in the class. That's why I'm going slightly faster now, because all of you know this. Whether you studied from me, you studied from anyone else, I presume that all these areas you know. So that is why I'm going slightly faster, because the objective here is to make sure how you write this answer. Now comes the next mode, slave mode of production, or the ancient mode of production. So what are the thesis? The society is divided into masters and slaves. The production depend on slave labor. What is the contradiction? Masters required labor now. Slaves resisted that exploitation. So the oppressor and the oppressed, they become mutually dependent, but at the same time, it's getting antagonist. And that's what Marx calls as antagonist cooperation. Same in capitalism also. So here you'll see dialectical conflict, right? Slaves revolt, declining productivity, administrative pressures, and that is getting the slavery weakened. And as a result, emergence of feudalism. For example, decline of Roman slavery and emergence of feudal relations. Now comes feudal mode of production. What is the thesis? Society is divided into feudal lords and serfs, and land become the primary means of production. What is the contradiction? Serf produce the wealth. Lords appropriate the surplus and the wealth, and the growing trade and the market that create tension within the feudal structure. What is the dialectical conflict here? The expansion of commerce, basically produce the merchants and the towns and initial that early bourgeois, which challenge the feudal authority. I've discussed all these with the diagram, with the block diagram in the discussion on the class struggle. So as a result, feudalism collapsed, and that gave rise to capitalism. For example, French Revolution, 1789. So very excellent illustration. Now comes capitalist mode of production. This is the most important stage according to Marx. What is the thesis here? Society divided into capitalist and worker, upper class or lower class, or bourgeois and proletariat, rich and the poor. Means, here, if you see, means of production are privately owned, right? The ownership of property and everything. Now the contradiction, what the capitalists seek, they wanted to maximize profit. Workers want better wages, improved working condition, and these are contradictory. So the capitalism again contained that antagonist relation and inherent contradiction. So here the key contradictions, if you see, the exploitation. So workers create that surplus value, but capitalists appropriate it. And again, alienation. We discussed this in detail. 4 levels of alienation: alienation from the product, alienation from the process of production, alienation from the fellow workers, and alienation from self. And then concentration of capital. Wealth is basically getting accumulated in fewer hands, and inequality is getting intensified, and the periodic crisis also. Because of this overproduction that lead to recession, that lead to unemployment, that lead to instability, demand supply mismatches. So as a result, increasing contradictions, and that's highest in capitalism, that lead to the socialist revolution. And Marx expected proletarian revolution in advanced capitalist societies. Right. And so next is socialism. What is the thesis here? Workers collectively control the production. Private ownership was reduced. And what is the contradiction here? Some, remnants of class difference and state structure may still exist. So socialism is therefore a transitional phase, and that eventually end in communism. What is the dialectical process here? Exploitation declines, but class distinctions weaken, but still there will be some will remain. So as a result, eventually this is a transitional phase. It lead to communism. So for communism, this is a final stage of history. Like the way we started off with primitive communism, this is a communism. Here it's a classless, stateless society, collective ownership of property, absence of any kind of exploitation, right? No exploitation of man by man, and man can appropriate the products of nature. There is a very famous statement. I couldn't recollect exactly as it is. Right, communism deprived no man of the power to appropriate the produce of nature, something like that. A very beautiful statement. I often quote that, but I couldn't recollect exactly as it is now. Anyway, so now here resolution of contradictions, right? So the antagonism between classes completely disappear. Because of that, the major source of dialectical conflict is eliminated when it comes to communism. So the very famous principle is from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. You get everything as per your requirement. You contribute according to your capacity. So I hope it is very clear now. That is the flow that you can draw. Primitive communism, ancient mode of production, feudalism, capitalist mode of production, socialist mode of production, communism. And we can also write beside it contradictions lead to conflict, lead to transformation. And that alone can give you that extra additional mark. Now, coming to the criticism, you can talk about general criticism and specific criticism. First and most important one, economic determinism. Marx give excessive importance to economics. So Weberian critique you can mention here. Ideas and values also shape history. For example, Protestant ethic, which influenced capitalism. Right there, the ideas, the spirit. So history is not determined only by material condition. The Hegel also you can mention, and the neglect of culture. Marx underestimate religion, culture, identity, ethnicity, etc. So here you can mention Gramsci. Cultural hegemony can shape society independently of economic structures. Then historical prediction failed. So Marx expected revolution in advanced capitalist societies, as I mentioned before. So instead of revolution, occurred in Russia, China, which were, less relatively industrialized, and Marxian concept of communism have never came. It's their own version of socialism and communism. So that prediction failed anyway. And capitalism adapted itself. Marx predicted the collapse of capitalism. Instead, capitalism survived through welfare state, labor reforms, trade unions, and social security measures. So capitalism have adapted itself and evolved itself and came as a new form of capitalism, neo-capitalism. And then you can say it's an oversimplification because social change is influenced by many other factors, not only economic factor, right? Dialectical factors. It could be gender, caste, religion, nationalism, technology, etc. Not merely the class contradiction. You also talk about contemporary relevance. Despite the criticism, that's how you will be concluding your answer. Marx remain highly relevant till the time poverty and exploitation is there. Exploitation of man by man is there, right? And you can also talk about growing inequality. There are reports to show that concentration of wealth among small elite, gig economy, the platform workers reveal new forms of exploitation and tension and alienation. Global capitalism and Marx have anticipated globalization, right? And worldwide integration of markets. So that's something which you can mention. Automation and AI, digital capitalism, digital labor, and all those you can mention. The technological change that is generating new labor contradictions, new forms of alienation, new forms of exploitation. And then the neo-Marxist, Gramsci, Wallerstein, David Harvey, the way they have expanded Marxian concepts. So they have extended and expanded Marx dialectical framework to study the modern society also. Now conclude. So how will you conclude? Marx's theory of dialectics explain social change as the outcome of contradictions embedded within every mode of production. So there are different laws that through the laws of unity of opposites, negation of negation, and transformation of quantity into quality, Marx presented history as a dynamic process driven by conflict and transformation. So just don't write only about that three law. That is not what they're asking. You have to mention everything. You have to talk about criticism. You have to talk about relevance. You have to talk about the theory. You have to talk about his understanding of society, the social change, everything. Although he has been criticized for whatever we mentioned, right? The economic determinism or prediction related to limitations and the dialectical framework, the limitations of that, whatever we discussed, but still you can say it continued to provide a very good insight for understanding the inequality, class conflict, globalization, and the contradictions of contemporary capitalism. And finally, you can say for Marx, societies do not change because people desire change. They change because the contradictions within existing social structure make the changes which are historically inevitable. So it's not because people wish to make change. It is because there are contradictions and that makes an inevitable change in any case, in any scenario, any society. So that is how you can conclude this answer and it's going to be beautiful. So I think I have taken care of all the dimensions here and this is how you should be writing the answer also. I know I went slightly faster because I presume that you know these concepts, right? So if you would like to join our sessions, mentoring program, test series or the classes, get in touch with us. See you there.